I've always said it that Western women, despite of what you see, these social influences, because they are usually sponsored by the state, they get protection, they get armed security, but and they say, look, I'm just going to the most so-called tribal and backward parts of Pakistan, because Pakistan loves to, advertise the tourism industry in the northern parts. And yes, it's very beautiful, not as beautiful as Switzerland, but they claim that. But sure, whatever. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's very beautiful. And the mountains that you look, they're so high. It gives you a different kind of feeling that you won't get after you look at, what's the tallest one in the UK?
Oh, I forgot what it's called. It was that insignificant to me.
It was only as tall as Burj Khalifa.
Snowdon? That's not the tallest, maybe. I don't. Yeah, no. Snowdon might be the second.
Tallest mountain in the UK.
But yeah, what you're describing in Pakistan is literally like the Himalayan range, right? So that's just like next level awe-inspiring beauty.
Yeah, but even before the
Ben Nevis, that's it. Sorry, that's the highest.
Ben Nevis, that's it. Yeah. So you get a different kind of feeling of awe and wow, and you feel very small and insignificant when you just look at look at the mountain. So it's okay, spiritual journey. Okay, fine. So Pakistan loves to advertise that. It's like, hey, come over here, look. And the social media influencers like Eva Bazooka, her name was, this Polish travel blogger. And then Rosie Gabriel. Rosie Gabriel's story was actually right, but the reason why she was doing it because she fell in love with a Pakistani man. All good. Seems like it's going all right. And then she converted to Islam. I did make a video for her, and then she responded to it, but I didn't see that comment until much later. But anyway, so it's
is she still in the fold of Islam?
Yeah. She's still in the fold. I just put some standard question. Do you know what Quran says about wife beating? But anyway, good luck to her. Fine. But people can get fooled. Now there's this American young woman, probably 22 years old or something like that. She a TikToker. So she went to Pakistan, probably influenced by all these people thinking that, oh, look at this. You can just, you can go to Pakistan. It's safe. So another fellow TikToker asked her to come down to Pakistan. She went there without any security, being a young girl. I think she's Latin American, but anyway, Western looking enough. They gang raped her. So here's her video. And I'm going to say they actually, and shame on Pakistani police and intelligence organizations, they actually revealed her photos, her TikTok ID, her passport. They didn't even blur out her passport number or anything. And I'll tell you, this is not some, you can't give them a benefit of doubt that they're stupid and backward. They know this is wrong. You know why? If you remember, there was a gang rape of a Pakistani French woman who came to Pakistan to teach her kids the beauty of Islam. And unfortunately, on her way back, she was brutally gang raped. So Pakistani police and law enforcement agencies were so secretive about her identity. They never revealed her face. They never even revealed her name. So we still don't know her name because she was so traumatized. And fair enough. And instead of teaching the beauty of Islam, she actually went back to France, as you would. She was like, oh, France is far better than this piece of country. So they know they shouldn't reveal her detail, but they did with this woman. But have a listen to her. I feel so bad for her. And I would always say this. Pakistan is a backward religious country, especially for women. If you're a guy, fair enough, you can probably do solo travel, but it's not a safe country for women. Even Pakistani women get eye raped in Pakistan. When I took my ex-partner in Pakistan in 2011, there were people who were just secretly filming her, and I was like, what is this? This desperation. Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, just to be fair, it's not just Pakistan. Like, you experience that across the subcontinent, to be honest.
I didn't experience that in Sri Lanka. I
did at the cricket.
Not to that extent.
I definitely did. I'm saying as a woman, like the same thing, like people recording you from far away, zooming in without your consent, people trying to take pictures. It's not just confined to one country. It's a genuine mentality thing.
Look again. I remember I also went to watch Pakistan versus Sri Lanka and Candy. So there were people there. They were taking her photos, and I was like, "Why don't you take my photo?" They're like, "Oh, bugger off, mate."
Exactly. Yeah, literally that they get so, I don't know, they were like they
But,
were mistaking people, like I don't know what they thought, some
no, but
for an
Nuria,
actress or a Bollywood actress or whatever,
no,
and they
but
all just trying to make a claim to fame. I don't know.
no, but to be fair though, that only happened in a large crowd in a cricket stadium. But we traveled in the local buses. I saw women and men standing next to each other, and no one's looking and no one's staring at each other. That was a shock for me. I thought you probably didn't sit in those, 50-cent buses that will go from one city to another.
No, I
They were.
flew in.
I call them party buses. They drove
Mm.
110 kilometers in the narrow streets and just racing each other. I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead. But anyway, so people were there. So I went to the local markets, and that's Pakistan is vastly different from that. I could not take my ex-partner to these bazaars of Pakistan. But in Sri Lanka, she was. So anyway, so Pakistan is pretty bad. So listen to her. What happened? This is a statement that just came out. I mean, I can't even imagine how she could actually even speak her mind out like that. She's very brave, but I hope she gets the justice. And yeah.
I feel deeply disturbed by the fact that a friend that I know for such a long time, who was trying to portray a positive image of this beautiful country to foreign travelers, and who seemed so trustworthy, could do such a vile, such a horrible act. And I am not sure if I can ever recover from the mental scars, but I hope there will be broad justice to this case. I am not going to lie, the legal proceedings are very stressful, very exhausting. That so far, they have been quite smooth, quite efficient, but I really hope it will continue this way and it will eventually lead to justice.
So obviously, she's hopeful. She's probably still going through that trauma. Um, uh,
She's going to
but
carry a lot of that for the rest of her life. But yeah,
yeah,
that's very, very brave, speaking so candidly about it. Even after such a short amount of time, when it's still so, you're still in the thick of it, you're in the thick of court proceedings. But what an actual joke. Like, again, even Imran Khan peddling things from the top about Pakistani tourism and trying to expand it, and every single blogger or vlogger or YouTuber or Insta influencer that comes to Pakistan, they lap it up. Anybody that is not somebody who would be in Pakistan by virtue of them being Pakistani, they're probably shook that someone is actually coming to our country and willing to take this risk. There was another girl I followed on Instagram, and I think she was actually half Pakistani and half Southeast Asian. She was getting like motorbikes and literally just driving like on long journeys by herself. And obviously she would constantly be documenting when men actually just helped her and didn't like expect anything or weren't weird about it, and it's just like the daily struggles you'd find of a girl just needing to like get from A to B is ridiculous. But even for Imran Khan to like gas up how amazing and how safe Pakistan
we
is
respect
for
women.
foreigners,
We
yeah,
respect women.
you,
No, I
your
rape them.
your own women are literally the like lowest ranked in the world, one of the, almost the worst of the worst there could be in terms of gender disparity. And then you have the cheek to say our country is so safe and foreigners come here, and look, if somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes comes here, that means it's safe for everyone, we've got no problems. And yet this poor woman did not like, and then imagine relying on Pakistan's justice system as well. That's horrible.
Well, they released the killer of Daniel Pearl. So I there's no justice system in Pakistan. But my point is, like she said, she was full. She's a young woman, probably of I think she's in her early 20s. So far he's been arrested. This guy, look at this guy. I mean, come on. So an American blogger was gang raped in a hotel in Pakistan by a guide and an accomplice who took videos of her to use as blackmail. Classic Pakistani thing. I don't know if you remember this guy who wanted to be like a Sanjay Dutt kind of guy who raped this couple and made some lewd videos, and that video accidentally resurfaced or surfaced some couple of years later, and then they all filmed them, they blackmailed them. It's so suffocating looking at it or thinking about it. That's because they don't respect women. So they say, "Oh, Islam teaches us respect." No, Islam doesn't teach you respect. Islam says a woman is supposed to behave in a certain manner. She's confined to her house, and
Well, her
can't go out.
value is less. First of all, she's worth less.
Yeah, and if she doesn't do that, well, she's fair game. We've had people call into Mahali's Sakari show. She said, "Well, you're a hoe, so like I can rape you." Well, why do you think Zara Kay and so many of these people, they get rape threats always? What kind of respect is that? I'll tell you why. They see, okay, pious woman, hoe. What's the standard? She's independent. She goes to work. She's educated.
The more threatening she is to you and your way of life, the more of a hoe she is.
And that means she can be raped. That's the logic that these guys follow. And then they have the audacity to say, we respect women. No, you don't respect women. You respect chattel. You respect sheep. That's what you want. And by the way, I just want to say to the Westerners, and this is what I'm going to title this video. Every Western woman should see this. This is not the only case. I know someone from Australia. I think she did tell her story publicly. Lara Hall. She also was lured in to Pakistan by this guy, and she went in. And to be honest, I don't know. Like these Pakistani men, I don't know. They have this special skill of begging or something. They have to get these Western women to fly all the way to Pakistan. But anyway, so she flew to Pakistan, and then she was locked up in this big house. She actually learned a lot of Urdu words as well because she had nothing to do. And she was raped repeatedly. And then she, I think her brother, the guy's brother also tried to have sex with her or rape her. And then she eventually escaped through a window or something, took refuge in the Australian embassy, and then they just got her out there. And then she told this story. And I wouldn't be surprised there would be a lot more, because I wish I could say that if you go there, then you'll see what I'm talking about. But I don't want you to go there.
Strongly advise against it.
If you go through the common bazaars and streets of Pakistan, you'll see a sea of men. And you can imagine, it's like these men have just come out of prison. And they are horny as fuck. And anything that moves,
run by frustrated men for frustrated men, to be honest.
Exactly. So women, there's nothing in Pakistan, and us Pakistani men, except for me, are not even that good. So don't go there for them. And there's no nightlife.
That's so rude to like all the Pakistani men out there. That is such a sweeping generalization. How are you going to chuck them all under the bus like that?
No. I actually was going to say not majority of it obviously are not bad. We do have because I still trust in humanity. I still trust in the overall altruism that is ingrained in us, and we do tend to avoid conflict. We do tend to avoid harming others for no reason. And yes, obviously sexual violence is because your urges supersede the other urge not to harm others. That can increase, and there are more likelihood of these things happening in sexually frustrating societies like Pakistan, for example. So even if the
dominance and power as well.
Even if 5%, of Pakistani men are like that, that's bad news. And why that's bad news? Because there are not many free, independent women in Pakistan to begin with. Women get. I think I played a video. There was this guy jerking off in a public bus, and the people pull up their motorbikes next to a woman driving car, start jerking off. These things are so common. I spoke to this Pakistani woman. She once said that, she said, Haris, you would not find a single woman in Pakistan who was not touched up by someone or worse. Like, like it could be a slap on the bum, could be a little pinch, You would not find a
Sexually
single
harassed in
sexually,
in some form.
yeah, you just wouldn't. It just would not happen.
And usually it's close to home as well.
Yeah, let
But
me say, yeah.
yeah, what again, just to bring a bit of hopefully optimism into this as well. When you see obviously like just millennials grow up and like Gen Z growing up now as well, and if like families are raised in an environment where from like day dot the brother and the sisters were treated equally, these like growing up in that same household, they're starting to have more like respectable views about women, as opposed to like, you're my sister, therefore you're an extension of my mother and serve me and, you know, bring me chai and warm up my food. It was almost like a given in previous generations that just because you're a woman, it's on you to like sort out anything for any male relative or male figure. But obviously now, hopefully the new generation, Pakistan has such, what is the percentage? Like most people most of the youth in Pakistan are under 30.
Yeah, I think it's like something like 60%. 60%
Yeah.
of the population under 30.
So
And
something like that.
yeah, so the population is still on the rise before it'll start going down in the latter part of this century. But the point I wanted to make, and people say, and Muslims love making this argument like a uncovered rapper or whatever. I've shown these videos before. Look at this guy. This woman is properly covered up, got a burqa or at least a hijab. Her body parts are covered up, and look at this, he's pinching her bum just because he sees a woman on her own. This is someone else, totally different one. But another video just came out last week. Look at the level of desperation. It's this bullshit argument that they make. Oh, piece of meat, or you covered it up, and if you didn't cover it, look at this one. This woman is just minding her own business, and she's just walking by, not dressed so-called provocatively. Poor.
The opposite, according to them.
Look at this guy.
What the hell? What is wrong with these men?
He just humped her. And that guy has a beard as well.
Oh my God.
That's just
shame on those people that tell these women that like their hijab and their covering up to not attract flies protects them. Like, shame on them. They tell them the same, like I mentioned it like a couple of weeks ago, like whack advice that if you're in an alley and there's dangerous looking guys, just say the Ayatul Kursi and you'll be safe. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
And then people still have the guts to say, well, what was she doing? Why was she out walking outside at that time by herself?
Oh, yeah.
Because look, her clothes right now are not questionable for the Pakistani society, right? Because she's well and truly completely like, she's not doing anything wrong. They can't say, why was she wearing that? But what they can say is, why was she out without a man or a mehram at that time? Or why did she need to go shopping or walk home at that time? It's always going to be her fault at some level, not that man's actual mentality and the way he thinks and the sense of entitlement and dominance and power he's trying to exert over somebody like that. No regard to herself.
But this is why this, because they want to protect their religion, so they can't talk against hijab. And this is why Imran Khan said, men, obviously this is wrong. This shouldn't happen, but men are not robots. That's when they add a but with it, they actually justify the action, and these people will never understand that. So I would always say to women, Western women, you're not missing out on anything. There's no nightlife, there's no enjoyment, there's no shopping. Whether you go to India instead, and even in India, there's some terrible places. You can get harassed by a mob of taking photos, and you're like, whoa, hang on. What am I? But
that's why it's also like doubly as shameful, and like, you know, it was really easy at some points to, you know, like just actually have to say, Imran Khan, I'm sorry, I cannot respect anything you say anymore, when a man like him, who supposedly is so much better informed than this and has lived in a whole world where if it wasn't for the equality, he wouldn't have had as much fun as he did have in those moments, yet he can go back to his own country and like not do enough when a woman is raped on a motorway with her children in tow, like, and then have the guts to say things that like, oh, our women out of shame, they get shy and they don't report it. Like, what kind of what are you teaching your women to be? And then those comments, like those misogynistic comments as well.
Yeah, no, he copped a lot of flack for it because they
Well, I
said,
could see
well,
he'd pissed off a lot of feminists or any self-respecting woman that's saying, hang on a minute, you're actually trying to get away with, if not point blank, but you're trying to victim blame in some way or the other. It's never holding the man accountable enough. It always comes back to some backhanded issue of women.
yeah.
Just call a spade and say society needs to fix up and we need to like have sex education and put men through these consent classes, and there needs to be like serious work done on a grassroots level.
The interviewer, I think she was from CNN or ABC, she asked him, so were you a robot? Because you were hanging out around these women. Were you raping them? No, she didn't ask that. It was just that question was asked to him on social media a lot, which is fair enough. So if you can, I think it comes from extreme, obviously, insecurity from men, because like men who are not very comfortable with themselves, they're always suspecting their wife of cheating or whatever.
Mohammed.
And it's the same problem. It's the same problem with Muslim men. Like it's this possessiveness. I get it. It might be a carnal desire of men, but so are so many other primitive desires that we have, that we've suppressed them, and we've surpassed them. So you know, it's pathetic that how in this day and age they still make excuses for that, just all so they can defend their religion. Because if they said, yeah, maybe we don't need hijab anymore, then they'll be like, oh, you're going against the teaching of Islam.
Which teaches you that you have animalistic tendencies that you cannot move past and control and be in charge of. What does that say about their willpower as well?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I think that's insulting to men. Like,
I think so. I really think so. It's saying that men have absolutely no self-control. Like your brain can't kick in and take over when it needs to. That's a serious malfunction.
But it's also insulting from another point of view as well. Is that you're saying that I am decent enough that if I see a semi-naked woman at a beach or whatever, oh, I'm so civilized, I'm not going to rape her. But some idiot might do it. But why is there a chromosome missing in that idiot person or whatever? Like, is there something wrong? Then how dare you think that other people can't rise up to your rationality? And we know that people can. None of us, majority of the world's population, does not believe in giving human sacrifices. We've evolved past it. There's so many things that we have, and that's why we admire the West, even though it's fairly recent. Women empowerment, gender pay gap being consistently decreasing. A lot of more and more men are coming on board. So, you know, people can change. Some of the most fundamentalist of people can change. So that's just disrespectful, thinking that, oh, I'm so civilized, I won't rape a woman, but he would. Paul Sini is saying, why didn't Allah protect her in full burqa? Because it doesn't exist, mate. Every time you ask them these questions, they'll give you circular reasoning. Well, maybe there was something good in Allah's eyes, or Allah has given people free will so they can rape women or molest or you know, that they can
or like they'll get their comeuppance on the day of judgment or like whatever. No, what about justice for the person who had to endure that? They're so flawed. The problem with evil is something that they could constantly have to contend with. And you've seen it, like this has a real effect on in places like, even in, I think there was one point in Christianity in Portugal that like the society was very, very like, you know, heavily like religious, and there was one of the largest earthquakes that Portugal had ever experienced. It was like really high on the Richter scale, and that actually made some of the highest theologians actually just question God's existence, because like churches fell in that as well. A lot of like, you know, Christians, actual devout Christians died. So even God's wrath is killing the good ones. And a lot of these people actually then started questioning the problem of evil. And a lot of them naturally, as one would, comes to the conclusion that, hey, maybe this is all absolute BS and there is no such thing.
If you like these videos and want to support me in my activism, then you can support me on Patreon or PayPal. Stay free, everyone.